We're just going to dive right in. You know, there's so many great lines in this text, but this particular lecture this evening comes from chapter 9, the acceptance of the atonement, section 3, the correction of error. And every one of these lines is just spectacular, really. But I just pulled out, you know, a couple paragraphs in total. I want to read them, and then we're going to talk about what they all mean. So we'll just start with the reading. The alertness of the ego to the errors of other egos is not the kind of vigilance the Holy Spirit would have you maintain. Okay, that line is a truth bomb, right? That's enough right there. We could probably do a couple hours. I will get back to that. That's so awesome. To the ego, it is kind and right and good to point out errors and correct them. This makes perfect sense to the ego, which is unaware of what errors are and what correction is. Errors are of the ego, and correction of errors lies in the relinquishment of the ego. When you correct a brother, you are telling him that he is wrong. He may be making no sense at the time, and it is certain that, if he is speaking from the ego, he will not be making any sense. But your task is still to tell him that he is right. You do not tell him this verbally. That's very important. If he is speaking foolishly, he needs correction on another level, which we'll be talking about. He is still right because he is a son of God. His ego is always wrong, no matter what it says or does. If you point out errors of your brother's ego, you must be seeing through yours, because the Holy Spirit does not perceive errors. When a brother behaves insanely, you can heal him only by perceiving the sanity in him. That is so important. It is not up to you to change your brother, but merely to accept him as he is. To perceive errors in anyone and to react to them as if they were real is to make them real to you. You will not escape paying the price for this. Okay, this is called karma. Okay? Our perceiving other people and their errors means we are looking through the lens of error. And if we're doing that, that's karmic, and the brain remembers it, and we have to walk it all back. Right? The forgiveness of all this is to get through all of this by saying, as this book teaches, no error was made in the first place. It's happening on a level that we don't fully understand yet. We're getting better at it, especially those that work on this. Any attempt you make to correct a brother means that you believe correction by you is possible. And this can only be because of the arrogance of the ego. Correction is of God, who does not know of arrogance. Accept only the function of healing in time, because that is what time is for. God gave you the function to create an eternity. You do not need to learn that, but you do need to learn to want it. Okay, so many spectacular pieces in here, but I want to go through. Heavy emphasis on what sin throughout the Bible is greatly misunderstood. People think it's a behavioral thing, but it's actually perception. Error is an error of perception. Error is perceiving reality as primarily physical, right? And so if we perceive each other as physical and all the stuff that comes from it, we're in error. And then we have this idea that we should fix other people. Now, it's always I say political people and non-spiritual people, have at it. Play that game. That's not who this audience is. It's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people who authentically want to be spiritual. Okay? And that's why Jesus says to not worry about a speck in your neighbor's eye when you have a log in your own. Okay? If you're still seeing their behaviors as an error that they've made, you're not seeing the truth. The forgiveness of them is because you understand they're seeing a misperception, and that's why they behave the way they behave. The perception is off, and correcting them isn't going to happen on the level of telling them that they're wrong. You need to do this and you need to do that. Because if it's not done with the right energy, the right spirit, the message, it's like a noisy gong and a clanging cymbal. It won't get to them. They won't receive it. So we have to see it the right way. That's why that line is so good. We're not here to be vigilant at pointing out other people's mistakes. It's not what it is. We're also not here to be vigilant pointing out our own mistakes. We must forgive ourselves as well. Why? Those errors, which is perceiving reality as primarily physical, that's what we're going to get to at the end here. Those errors are the things that need to go, and it doesn't go away physically. It goes away energetically, spiritually, and through perception. So I've got this drawing here. Again, it's extremely useful to think in terms of simple ideas in a complex book like this. And the simple truth is that you are a spiritual being. Whatever that means to you or what that looks like, I'll leave that up to you. I just draw these little soul blobs, okay? Within that spiritual being is something called truth. Everyone has it. It's 100% of all of us are spiritual beings, and we have truth inside of us. But then we have this other thing called your ego that is physical. As the body says, or as this book says, the body is just a communication device. Instead, we identify with it, like someone might identify with their iPhone or something like that. Okay? It's important, but it's not who you are. You don't identify with your clothes either. I mean, you might, but it's not your identity. Well, the body is that for the soul. The body is just this costume or this communication device for who you really are. This is why we're not supposed to judge all the physical aspects of things. That's like judging someone as bad because you don't like their cell phone, cover or something. Or you only have a droid or, something like that. That's just so stupid. Who would do that? It's not necessary. And so the truth is you are a spiritual being. You have an ego, which is the physical self, and you have truth inside of it. Other people, also have truth inside of their spiritual essence and have a body just like you and an ego that goes along with it. Here I've got them is also you. That's the point. Because this and this are one and the same. In order to get to where we want to go, for all intents and purposes, that's the way we have to look at it. Loving another as oneself. Well, there it is right there. Well, that's useful because the truth is inside of you and it's inside of them. And we spend all this time looking at these physical bodies and the things that the physical bodies do. And therefore, we go through all this pain and suffering because of all this bad stuff that happens to our costumes. Okay? And then we judge each other for it. And all we're really supposed to be doing is cultivating this thing called truth. And as you cultivate it, it grows. And as it grows inside of you, guess what? You feel better. Endorphins and serotonin and dopamine, all these wonderful chemicals that get processed or produced in our brain. And of course, it feels like a high. This is what the nirvana state is like, the Buddhists would be talking about, right? All because you forgave yourself and your brother. And then you saw clearly, okay? Those who have eyes to see, says Jesus. Those who have ears to hear. And it's this dynamic. Don't be looking at the other person and judging them for the stuff the physical ego did. You judge them for their seeing the truth. It's literally John 7:24. Do not judge by mere appearance, judge correctly. And in that, the sanity in them is what you're supposed to be looking for. And if that's what I see in you and you and you, and you see that in me, all we're going to do is resonate that music with each other. Then it's going to be vibrational. Then it's going to be inspiring. Then all of a sudden you feel like changing. Not because someone scolded you or you beat yourself up. It's a very low level way to inspire people. But this vibration, it's music to the soul's ears, those who have ears to hear. And then this thing can change. So here we have, as it says in here, the vision of the Holy Spirit is to not see any of this, the error. The vision of the Holy Spirit is to not see error. Why? Here's a little way to visualize reality. Home is this place where we all come from. It's truth. And we're having this experience of the lower self, and these bodies show up. Life is but a dream, says the nursery rhyme. Okay? The word Buddha literally means to wake up from the dream. So you want to go Buddha, it means to wake up, or the nursery rhyme. Either way, we're in a dream. Einstein and the Course of Miracles calls it an illusion. Tons of times it's an illusion. That's the lower dimensional state. We come from the higher dimensional state of truth. It's an ultimate reality. This is the vision of the devil, all right? The devil, throughout the Bible, the thing that causes all the hell, the devil is seeing the world physically primarily. That's it. And again, there's really nothing even that wrong with that, because we're going to do that. All of us do. As the Buddha says, we all suffer. We're all going to. But the shift in perception gets us out of hell. And when you start to see accurately, notice there's no little red dude with a pitchfork running around trying to get you in trouble or anything like that, other than your own inner voice. And that's because we've seen this whole dynamic improperly. To see it properly is go, oh man, we're all on the same team. We all fell for it. We all took on a body. We all got confused by behaviors, and all of us have these differences with each other. But man, we all have one thing in common. We all have the ability to see the truth in each other. And the more that's all you seek in each other, seek and you'll find, it's resonant. I've got this red line here because it represents a mirror. The fact is you are a reflection of me and I'm a reflection of you. And if you're looking at your brother physically only and judging him for that, what you're really doing is judging yourself because it's a mirror. But what happens if you look at them spiritually speaking and you look at them from the lens of truth only? Guess what? That'll be reflected back to you. Now, both Jesus and Muhammad say, once you've removed the log from your own eye, you can help your brother with their speck. But now you're not going to be working on changing their behaviors. Now it's like, listen, the only thing that really helps us is to wake up. Behaviors come from that. You want to change your behaviors? Change your perception of life. Have an awakening experience by realizing it isn't about using willpower to stop using drugs or to get a degree or to any number of physical things that we can mention. It's literally about having a spiritual awakening so you can see the world as the spiritual place that it is. Okay? So that's the vision of the devil. This is the vision of the Holy Spirit. We want to get off of focusing on the bodies. And so we end with this. What are errors? Errors include all physical perception that, I've got in red, burns like hell. Okay? And it's quite useful because I wrote here guilt, shame, fear, judgment, greed, pride, on and on and on. How can you tell when you're looking at the world with an error lens? Because it should burn like hell. And it's supposed to feel unpleasant. Why? Because your perception's off. And it might not always feel like that. It's just that eventually, if you repeat an error in perception again and again, eventually you'll get to a point in life where this stuff is going to start to pop up. You're going to feel bad about, or you're going to fear death, for example. Because, you lived your whole life, a wonderful life, and then you had to die at the end. Well, guess what? It turns out you're just going to wake from the dream. We have this foolish pride about all the physical things that we accomplish or don't accomplish. But when you have an awakening experience, what else is there to accomplish? That's all you're supposed to be doing. Rumi says that again. You're not here to do a million things. You're here to do one thing. If you do that one thing, you've done everything. And so there's no reason for pride, because guess what? All of us have the same mission to accomplish. If you've accomplished it, you're not better than anyone else. You just feel better, right? And when one accomplishes it, check. Now you can do what this says. Now go be a creator. Now in the physical form, go express yourself. You're going to express it as God, though. You're going to express it in any number of ways you can do it, in all your relationships, in your occupation, and with your neighbors, and in your food preparation, and every aspect of your being. It's because now you're channeling the truth directly, just like your neighbor has a chance to do as well. Okay? So to me, it's the ultimate in the mental health of all of this stuff, is what are your negative emotions doing? It's course correction stuff. If we cover guilt, shame, fear, judgment, greed, and pride up with drugs and alcohol, for example, we're not going to learn from them. But if we surrender to these things and we identify with them, I have a disorder, I am depressed, I am bipolar, I am anxious, and all that, like that's identifying with the body again. No, it's a current state, it's an energy state. And so the goal here, the correction, the ultimate correction of error is to see it accurately. When we see that everyone has the truth inside of them, and the truth doesn't have guilt and shame and fear and judgment, because the Holy Spirit doesn't see any of that stuff. Now we can look at it and just think of it as conditions that we're going through, right? Just like age. Every minute you get a minute older, right? And so you're just going through this phase. All of these things we experience physically are just a phase. When you see it correctly, you're going to break free from the error of misperception.